Yeah, no, we were just a pretty normal family. We had 3 children then. Our oldest boy, Alistair, was 11. He's the one the subject of this story is about. And he'd been playing soccer for a while and he decided he wanted to play football. So I was pretty happy about that. So off we went. But we just had the kids and, yeah, you know. Like,
yeah, it was just balancing family and work. We had a business that Peter ran. I was a teacher. We had 3 little kids, 6, 8, and Alistair was just 11 on the Monday. And juggling family and work, we were pretty excited. We were about to renovate our house, a long-awaited, promised event. We'd outgrown our little house with our growing family and life was pretty good at that time.
Yeah. So whereabouts do you live at that point?
We're in Mackay.
In Mackay, yeah. Still living in Mackay now?
Still living in Mackay.
Still in the same house. Oh, well, it's renovated now.
Yep. Don't believe your husband when they say you buy and renovate straight away.
A few people are agreeing already. There's nodding heads going on there. All right, so life is pretty normal.
Pretty normal.
Life in Mackay is pretty normal.
Yeah.
Life then, in a blink of an eye, changes. Take me back to the day that your life changed.
It was a Friday afternoon. Worked all week. Rugby, Alistair's choice after so many years of soccer. It was Friday afternoon. He was running off with Dad to do that. Darcy, our little 8-year-old, didn't want to go because you couldn't tackle when you were 8, so he wasn't going. So he and I just stayed home, and the deal was that I'd have dinner on the table when they got home, and Peter was to call me when they were ready to leave. All would be good. So Peter went off to football with Alistair to play, and Hannah, our little 6-year-old, went along to play with whoever she could play with, and it was good that point in time. Anyway.
Well, Alistair was a fullback and a kid made a break and Ali went in to tackle him and one of his own players came across in cover. I can still see it pretty clearly. And just an accidental knee to the back of the head and life changed instantly, yeah.
So when that's happened, as a dad, did you have any idea at the time the severity of what had just happened?
That's probably, you've just touched on something, that the severity of it just keeps sneaking up on you. So I saw him get hit, I saw the play continue down the other end of the field and I looked out and I thought he's not looking real good, like he wasn't up and he was just all flopping around. Yeah. And the play went on, so another dad was there with me and we ran out and then they pulled up play. The game ended up abandoned, but I don't know how far you want to go into it, but there was some things. A guy was keeping his head stable and he said, "Does your son normally have a big dent in the back of his head?" I said, "No." And so he wasn't, like he didn't even get a split head. He didn't have stitches or anything.
Yep. So there's no blood?
Little bit of trickle coming out of the nose, that's about it. But he was in a very serious problem. So then the ambulance comes, of course, yep. After there was a whole other story there. It stopped coming because no one rang him from the field. But then it eventually turned up. And I don't know, as a parent, you just think, okay, he's going to go in the ambulance now, he's going to go to the hospital, they're going to fix him up, yep. He'll be all right. And so then I rang Jo and she was...
He rang and he said, "There's been an accident." And I just knew it wasn't good. And little Darcy's yelling out in the background, "But I'm still going to play footy, Mum. Hey, I'm still going to tackle." And
he never ever got to play footy. Well,
not surprised.
No.
Anyway.
So how hard was it to make that call?
Oh, I don't remember that being hard. Like, obviously, Jo needed to know. And once again, the severity sneaking up on you. I'm still thinking my kid's just knocked out a bit, you know. These days he'd probably have some, protocols to follow, whatever. I'm thinking he's just going to wake up at the hospital, but no, we had a friend working at the hospital who was there, and when she came out crying. She thought he was dead, and that's when we were really, really worried.
All right, so your son Alistair is now on his way to the hospital in Mackay. Mum obviously is making a bit of a sprint for the hospital, I'm guessing, at this point. How did you feel when you got to the hospital to see him for the first time? Because obviously Peter's been already on the journey. You've just had a phone call to say there's an
Yeah.
accident. Tell us what's going through your mind.
Well, I bet the ambulance there, because the ambulance had to go so slowly
Wow.
because of his head
It was
injury.
really weird. I was halfway to the hospital and I saw an ambulance pulled up on the side of the road with its lights all flashing. And I thought, for some reason, I thought that's to do with us. So I pulled up there and like we're only a couple of kilometres at the most from the hospital.
Yeah.
And I said, have you got a kid from the football in there? And they said, no, but we're waiting here for that child. We have something he needs. I still don't know what it was. But so he couldn't even go that last couple of kilometres to the hospital without a second ambulance coming to him. So I don't know what the go was. But that's, so like I said, the severity, then I'm thinking, okay, this is getting serious.
So you go meet the ambulance at the hospital. What's the first interaction with the medical staff at the hospital? How does that play out?
Well, they got him into the hospital fairly quickly and whisked him away. He needed a scan on his head, was the first thing. We were left waiting, but we had nurses talking to us and they said, like, we need the scan and it'll be read by the closest neurosurgeon, who at that point happened to be in Perth in Western Australia. He read the scan and they came back and they said, he's got a chance. And that, a chance, I'm going, they're going to make him better. They said we'll fly him away to the closest place, which would either have been Rocky or Townsville. And they said they don't fly you away if you don't have a chance.
So
Well, that's a positive.
when they moved him off the stretcher, he moaned and stuff, which meant he had some reaction to stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a good sign.
All right, so in the process, you now learn that he's going to have to go somewhere, and that somewhere isn't exactly right next door. So you're looking at 400 k's either way, Rocky or Townsville. The decision's made to bring him to Townsville. We have pretty amazing neurosurgeons based here in Townsville at our hospital. We're very, very fortunate about
Absolutely.
that. So what goes through your mind then?
They said the flying doctors would come. They had to find the flying doctors.
They'd be somewhere in Queensland.
Queensland, they didn't know where.
But they were actually on their way to Mackay. They came out and they said they're on their way to Mackay to pick someone else up. They said, but your son's going to take precedent and he'll be going first. So the
I've
other person got
never
left
jumped
behind.
a queue in my life, but I was happy to jump one that day. And he got on the plane. I was allowed to go with him.
Yep.
And the doctor said, while we were in the air, he said, if something happens, I really can't do anything. He said, but he's stable at the moment and we'll get him to the hospital. So I just prayed and crossed every finger and toe and we got to Townsville and he was whisked away from me again and scans and x-rays and goodness knows, and they said that they would operate first thing in the morning.
All right, so in the process, so you're on a plane, you're in Mackay, you've got two other kids.
Yep.
What are you doing?
So not sleeping very well.
Yeah.
And
Farmed them out.
we farmed the other two kids out straight up on some really good friends of ours. And I just drove up. It was a pretty long drive.
Yeah.
I drove up the next day. Alistair was meant to be operated on first thing, and I don't know, somewhere about air, and Joe tells me that he's been put off because there's someone more important, and you just think, oh. But they got it right. Alistair's still alive, and that person died in the bed across from us that day. So they got it right. But you just got to give them credit. They know what they're doing, those people.
So life is already in a complete upheaval. Fortunately, that week, Ronald McDonald House has opened across from the hospital.
We didn't obviously know anything about Ronald McDonald House, and we weren't thinking about that sort of stuff.
You wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I remember the doctor saying to me, where are you going to stay? And I said, I'm here. I'm staying here beside my son. He said, you can't stay here. I said, but... And anyway, a social worker came to me and said, Ronald McDonald House is opened this week. I've got you a room there. You'll stay there. And
So, yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing, like you're not thinking of anything.
She didn't even have clothes or anything.
I had nothing, I just came. So you're just living in the moment and not thinking of anything. So to have that there, and that, you know, I wasn't capable of driving. I didn't have a car. I certainly wouldn't have been safe on the road. I don't know about drink driving, but you don't drive in other circumstances either. So I wasn't fit to be doing anything. So just to be able to walk across was a godsend. It's just amazing.
So at this point, not too many of us really know the benefits of Ronald McDonald House. It's only just open. We've heard what it's like in other parts of the country and the world. You're starting to understand that, probably with not really much of an idea of how long this might go on for. So you're in at Ronald McDonald House. Pete's done the drive up. Operation obviously goes ahead. What happens next?
That's not quite right. We didn't go to Ronald McDonald House till after the operation, but that's all right. After the operation, they came out and they told us, look, they said it went pretty well. They said, and I guess here's the difference between life and death for that lad there.
Yeah.
When they were decompressing the brain, when they were pulling the bone back off, there was a splinter of bone that had gone through the main vein that takes the blood away from the brain, right? And most people would know that with severe head traumas, it's swelling on the brain and that sort of stuff, that pressure on the brain, and that's what does the damage. So this splinter of bone had gone through, but it plugged it like a nail in a tyre.
Wow.
And it had just leaked a little bit, and when they pulled it out, that's when it bled. But then he was on the operating theatre. If it had bled on the football field, if it had gone through the side, that slight little difference, it would have split it, and he wouldn't be here. So that was the complication they had, and it wasn't terribly bad. They were able to fix it, give him blood transfusions because he bled quite badly. And then it was just a case of waiting. And from that point, everything's gone well, but you don't really know that he's actually going to wake up, and you don't know if he does wake up, if he's going to be normal. You don't know what he's going to be like.
So what are your days like?
Long.
I actually had to go back to Mackay because of the other kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
by then, we knew that he was recovering. He woke up from his being on life support.
there's a little bit of a funny thing. It's funny and it's really good at the same time. So that's him there, right? He's got all those tubes and stuff, and they keep him in an induced coma,
yeah.
and they said, we're going to stop giving him the medicine and he should wake up in X amount of time and blah, blah, blah. And they said when they wake up, they're very, very disorientated. They've got tubes down their throat, they've got tubes everywhere, they've got no idea what happened to them. He said, some people we have to just put them back under again.
Yep.
And so if he wakes up, just see if you can calm him, see if you can settle him. And so he woke up almost exactly to the minute when they said he would. And he just sat up all wide-eyed and tubes and everything choking. And I was right beside him, as you would be, of course. And I said, Ali, it's all right, it's all right. You got a big knock on the head playing football? And he's just looking at me, you know. And I said, you got a big knock on the head playing football? What?
You've had an operation.
You've had an operation. I said, just lie back down, take it easy, lie back down, and we'll see. And so he looked at me and he just lay back down, and they got the tubes out of his mouth, and he said something, and I went down and he said it again. The doctor said, what did he say? I said, he said, did we win?
You're right.
Now, if you think about that, right? You think about that. He's thinking straight away like an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So straight away we knew two things, that number one, he was going to wake up, and number two, he was thinking properly.
That's incredible. So give me an idea, how long did it take from the minute you arrived in Townsville to go home? That must have been
It was over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We were pretty lucky.
Yeah, we were over 2 weeks before...
We're very aware, he was in
that.
severe danger, but we're very thankful. We knew within 2 weeks that, okay, he had a long road to recovery.
Yes. but was going to be okay.
But he was going to be okay.
He was going to get there, yeah. He was always a bright young boy, and he still was. He had a term off school, went back eventually, and for 1 hour, and they did a test, and he topped the class again. And
wow.
He's gone on to become a physiotherapist and run and travel the world. He's living the good life. So it's good now.
So 20 years ago, Ronald McDonald House opens here. How good is that? The house opens, you're one of the first families. 20 years on, what are some of the memories that you have of those couple of weeks that you spent at Ronald McDonald House, back at the start?
Well, back at the start, I didn't really leave his bedside very much. Peter came up the first few days and we were able to go there and have a sleep and everything. We sort of tag teamed those first few days, but Peter had to go. We had a business, he had to go back. So he went home and ran that and helped look after the children, other 2 kids that were left behind. And I stayed with Alistair, but Ronald McDonald House, every day I'd go over, have a nice hot shower, have a good cry, pull on my big girl pants again and take a deep breath and go, yep, I can do it. Go back to the hospital. I'd probably grab a coffee or breakfast there. It was only new, not like now. We had a tour the other day and you can get McDonald pancakes every day. I didn't have that 20 years ago. I might have enjoyed them.
No, it was awesome.
But
one of the
it
guys
was awesome.
that was one of the guys they interviewed earlier, touched on it. It takes there's a whole section of worry gone. Like, you've got enough worry with your kid lying up there in hospital. There's this whole issue of where you're going to stay, how you're going to get to and from the hospital, all that sort of stuff. What are you going to eat even? It just gets taken off. You don't have to worry about that. It's really, really awesome.
And the fact that you've seen it firsthand on a night like tonight, when we're talking to the incredible supporters that we have, the businesses, the individuals, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Why people donate to this incredible cause, because you've experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't go through Ronald McDonald's driveway and pay for a 30-cent cone back in the day or whatever it is. We'd hand over a $50 note and that was it. The money went back in.
No change policy at the drive-through.
No change. And, we support charities in Mackay, and Ronald McDonald House is right up there with it. We know life changes in an instant. You don't want it to. You don't know that it's going to happen. Before you know it, you're on this roller coaster and you can't get off it. I don't like roller coasters.
It lets you off. You've got no choice
but
to get off.
It does, but if you can help other people by donating and helping in any way, it's a good thing.
Well, we know our chapter's doing amazing work down in Mackay now. There's a lot of work that's happening in Mackay, and I know you'll be super passionate about that. And I guess just finally, Peter, from your perspective, what do you say to people in a room like tonight to take us out from this conversation?
Welcome. No, just do what you can. Obviously, most people support charities that they've somehow had some connection with. There's a lot of very, very worthy charities out there. You support the ones that I suppose that you've been connected to from time to time. And this is one of those ones that you don't know. It doesn't sneak up on you. It hits you like a bang, and you're there as soon as that plane can get you there, and you're just lost. And it's just this little beacon of light. So, yeah, it's a very, very worthy charity. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. I've got something special to do in just a moment, but I was talking to your beautiful daughter, Hannah. She mentioned to me that you have an item in the silent auction tonight. So you've been working away on a magnificent handmade quilt that you've made that's over on the table. It's up for auction in our silent auction tonight. Tell me a little bit about this amazing quilt, because I think this has got a lot of money written all over it, from what I understand.
I'd like it to raise some money. It's something I can do. I patchwork and quilt. And it's just something that I wanted to do to make an item that might have been auctioned to raise some more money. So I hope you like it and I hope you can bid on it. And it'd be great to raise some more money for Ronald McDonald House.
Big round of applause. Have a look at it. Get on the silent auction and bid hard. I'd like to see this be one of our big items tonight. So, Alistair Houghton is now 30 years of age, and we have a very special message from the young boy who is now 30 up on the big screen. Let's have a look, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi everyone, I'm Alistair. I'm 30 now. I went on to become a physio through JCU in Townsville. Currently based over in Perth, exploring the West Coast and as much overseas as I can, up to 39 countries now and absolutely loving it. Ronald McDonald House was amazing when I had my accident. Obviously for my family, to be able to have a place to stay close by and take a little bit of stress off that way was great and so needed in North Queensland when so many families have to travel to the regional centres to get to hospitals when something happens. But particularly for me, just to be able to get off the ward, have some quiet, have a little bit of normalcy was really important at the time. So everyone have a great night, enjoy yourselves and spend big in the auction to support Ronald McDonald House. Cheers.
Alistair Houghton, 30 years of age. And when you think about it, you know, we've got families who are there now who've got kids and they've been there weeks after weeks after weeks. 20, 30 years' time, they're going to be up on this screen looking back at what you guys have contributed to tonight. And it's why we're here. And it's amazing that we have one of the very first families to utilise Ronald McDonald House Charities North Australia here with us tonight. Please join me in thanking Peter and Jo Houghton, everybody. We have got a little thank you for both of you tonight. Just a little special gift to say thank you for joining us tonight. It's something very, very special. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please thank Peter and Jo Houghton, our special guests tonight. Jo, amazing story.
Oh, such a harrowing story. And the thing is, for all of us parents out here, it could happen to any one of us, couldn't it? As you said, in the blink of an eye, something like this could happen to us. And what a beautiful, kind, resilient, young 30-year-old man you've produced. So we're so pleased that he's gone on to live a very fabulous life, and after such a harrowing story that you've just told us about what happened to him. So thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for sharing with all of us. I think another round of applause.